Welcome back to It's a Class Act from Talk Radio 107.7 and 590 AM KSUB. Chris McCormick, we're happy to have him. A little less excited about. You'll let anyone in this radio station. I guess that's okay.
That's my job, as I have to take care of our members. And so here's one of our good members here. It's Derek Morton from Net Gain
Sorry,
Property
did you say
Management.
Good
member.
Okay.
You know what? I served with Derek on the chamber board years before I had this job. And he was one of the ones that he and I would go at it. We would compete against each other. We would really just try to push the envelope as much as we could. And so I have an enormous amount of respect for Derek, in spite of what people may say, or in spite of what he might say. But
including one person in this room who's still a little bitter about it.
What am I bitter about?
It's just a living comment.
Look, if I get to that point, I'm just going to find a box and live on the side of the road and be done.
It says Tim's place on it.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, Derek, thrilled to have you here on the radio show and really appreciate you making the time to come and talk to us a little bit about your business. One of the things I love to do on this show is really explore people's businesses, their backgrounds, how they got into business, why they got into business, those types of things, because everybody's got a different story. So let's talk just real briefly, if we could, about why did you decide to go into business for yourself?
I was becoming miserable working for someone else. So it was that simple. Like I kind of felt like I'd plateaued to where I was at. And so realized on shopping around, trying to see if there was something, working somewhere else would be helpful. Realized I'm like, well, if I'm ever going to be crazy enough to start something of my own. So it was starting NetGain was like a 2-year process.
Right.
Like it was about a year. And I think I remember brainstorming with you on different things and then settled on property management. And then it was about a year. Once I settled on that, getting it all set up and getting it prepared, and then just made it happen. And, went a year without taking a paycheck as I built it, and which is some aspects that most people don't realize when you start a business.
That's exactly right. And that's one of the things that's why I like to have these conversations, is because everybody's got a different path to their success, so to speak, and a lot of people don't realize that there is some pain and suffering on the front end. You're getting things underway, going through government regulations, building a client base, making sure that what you offer is unique and different enough that it brings people to your office and those types of things. So let's talk a little bit more about NetGain Property Management. What do you do? What services do you offer? And we'll go from there.
So, we're a standard property management company. So if you have a rental that you're tired of dealing with the tenants or with the maintenance and stuff, we've had a lot of owners in the last couple of years as the trades picked up. They couldn't get trades to pick up their phone to come do a basic maintenance because they just, one-man shop. And where I've got most of that in-house is I've grown to just over 550 units now. Probably will pass 600 by the end of the year. That's a lot of clout, so people don't want to take me off, and so it's kind of nice.
Oh, no, I will.
Well,
well, there's always the outlier.
Yeah, you're not in the trades. I can handle that.
Oh, okay.
We've been taking each other off for years, so we're good there. we still survive. But so with that, I've got 4 different maintenance people working for me. I've got 2 different HVAC companies and 3 plumbers, and just companies that I rotate through that I can get a good response and quicker than someone just calling off the street that doesn't have those relationships. And so we facilitate all that for them. We work with the tenants and collect rent, and if they're not paying rent, we work all the other things out that can come if the rent's not being paid. So
that's a huge advantage for a property owner who may not realize all the intricacies of being in the renting business, so to speak, because it is a lot of work and there are challenges. And when things like that happen, if you can't find somebody, it's you. Mm-hmm. And so having a company like NetGain Property Management to help oversee your property and take care of your renters and take care of any maintenance that needs to be done and those types of things is a huge advantage to you. And certainly It gives you some peace of mind that it's being watched after and taken care of, but it also gives you a little bit of your freedom back as well. So I think that's a really powerful thing. So let's talk a little bit about how your business model is different from, let's say, some of your competitors.
So the whole purpose of starting NetGain was trying to find the balance between make sure the tenant's taken care of and make sure the owner's taken care of. Most management companies, like when we were looking into it, always seem to be skewed one side to the other, and we've tried to find that balance. And so with that, we've done a lot of crazy stuff. We realized one of the best ways to protect an owner's investment is to make sure that we can minimize turnover when life happens to people, and minimize evictions, and minimize, different things that happen, and people having to move out because they can't make rent. And so we've put in a lot of resources to different things. So like, we're the first management company here to have on-time rent reporting through a company called Azusu. We've got, and with that, they have their own in-house rent relief program that's backed by some of the world's largest philanthropic organizations. It's a 0% loan. So they can apply for it. They just have to pay, say rent's $1,000. They pay that back over a year and a half. And the owner's made whole. And we don't have to worry about booting anyone out or anything like that. I have what's called an in-house housing advocate. She's first of her kind for-profit management. She knows a lot of the resources. So as long as our tenants are communicating with us, like here's what's going on in my life or in my life right now, she can connect them to whatever resources to make sure that the owner's made whole and the owner's taken care of. We've invested in mental health, so our tenants have access to 1 free month of mental health services. All of this is done, these resources to help protect the owner. And like we've done a lot of crazy stuff in partnerships with like Youth Futures, which is a youth homeless shelter. We work with Canyon Creek. We work with the Care and Share to know resources and to work with their tenants so the owners can make money while also helping people in need. It's been way cool and way cool experiences on doing that. But basically, we feel like we've found a decent balance between the owner's rights and the tenant and what the tenant needs.
I think that's a very valuable thing because so often a tenant who is struggling doesn't know where to turn. And, you look at the challenges we have in our community with homelessness or poverty, and a lot of people don't see it because it's not really highly visible. But I can give you an experience. I took a group of young men on a hike up here in the hills, and it was amazing to me to run across 2 or 3 little housing areas. They weren't houses. They were tents or little lean-tos or what have you. People were living there right here in our community, and people don't realize that that's happening. And so, I served in a certain capacity not too long ago where I had people that came to me for help, and I actually reached out to you on a number of occasions, and you actually stepped up and helped out and found programs to help them out. And so I think it's great that what you do for your owners, but I also think it's incredible what you do for those who are really in need. And I said, that's a big difference to me, is something that really protects the individual. Because the investor, yes, they have, they want their investment protected as well. But, it's really tough out there for a lot of people who are really struggling to get by. And sometimes that little extra help can make all the difference in where they're going to go in their lives.
Out of curiosity, and strictly out of curiosity, have you had any pushback from some of your owners or investors in some of the things you've been doing, saying, look, we're not in that, we're just here to have places for people to live and be paid for them?
No, so we did in January, we did an owners conference. It's the first one that I've done. Because one thing I've always been horrible at is communicating. So I throw all this stuff in and we start going and, and may not necessarily, hey, owners, hey, we've got these resources now. Here's what I'm doing, right? I'm horrible at bragging about myself. And kind of, we just do it. It's cool. And we move on. So that owners conference in January, what that did, it was 3/4 of a day. And it informed the owners just on everything. So we introduced the new maintenance software that we did, and what's come from that. And the owners were excited about that. I brought in Representative Benyon, who's a good friend of mine from Cottonwood Heights. who may be on the different side of the coin on housing issues, some of the bills that she pushed. And it was eye-opening for the owners as they were able to have conversations with her in that. We had Kate from Canyon Creek talk about, hey, here's what we do. Here's the partnerships that we've done with Net Gain. And a lot of our owners on that have properties elsewhere, they're like, do you have sister organizations? Like, that's really cool. I didn't realize I was part of that. And what we found out is most owners, like, don't really care as long as their property is protected and they're making money. And so we, like, with that, we pitch that investment and we can explain, here's how you're protected, here's this, here's what that looks like, and it works. And then they become a partner in it. And some of them, you know, after that owners conference, some of them reached out. They're like, have I helped any women coming out of like domestic violence, or have I helped any, you know, people coming out of homelessness? And, you know, you look and you're like, yeah, you helped a family. Like your tenant just before this was, and they're like, I didn't know. Like, and they took really good care of that place. And so like, it was awesome. Like that owners conference and being able to bring all those resources in and educating them on here's what we do. There was more excitement and how do we get more involved, which was unexpected, but was way, way cool.
Let's get your contact out real quick in case someone's hearing you and wants to get a hold of you.
Okay, so you can call our office at 435-263-0933, or you can go online at netgainpm.com.
All right. And, of course, for the chamber,
586-4484 or cedarcitychamber.org.
all right. Thank you, gentlemen, and Derek. I had to have the one shot. You know, you have to give me that.
That's fine.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us for It's a Class here on Talk Radio 107.7 and 590 AM KSUB.